Marvin, he was a friend of mine, and he could sing a song. He's hard in every line. Marvin sang of joy and pain. He opened up our minds, and I could hear him say, "Oh, talk to me, and you can see what's going on. Say you will sing your songs forevermore. Gonna be some sweet sounds. Gonna come down on the night shift.
Ooh, on the night shift.
I bet you're singing proud.
Singing proud.
Oh, I bet you'll pull a crowd. Oh, yeah. Gonna be a long night. It's gonna be all right on the night shift.
Ooh, on the night shift.
Oh, I found another home.
Another home.
I know you're not alone on the night shift. And I'm done with that.
I can't even place that song, even reading the lyrics.
That's the Commodores, released in 1985. And I did that for a very, very good reason. So let me introduce this bullshit podcast. This is Invert the Y, episode Stardate Log, Captain's Log 12.1.5.9, and the USS Invert the Y is orbiting another planet of retrodom and bullshit. And today, this is interesting. I've got everybody's favourite back, the Drunken Monkey, and alongside him for the first time is Rocket Russell. Yes. So I had to do something with some soul. And I didn't know. I thought, I'm going to pull something out. Maybe the Drunken Monkey doesn't know the Commodores, but I was wrong, of course.
I know the Commodores. I've just never heard that song.
Yeah, that was a big hit for them.
Oh, very big, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're here today. This is interesting, right? Because topic of the show, I'll get straight to it, is English TV shows, right? Now, we all know the Drunken Monkey is from the UK because he's got a Cockney accent. Right. Actually, did you hear the last episode 48, right, where Super Simon actually pulled off a bit of a Cockney accent? Did you hear him do Jason Statham?
Yeah, and it wasn't too bad.
He's pretty good.
It wasn't
bad
too
at all.
Better, far better than yours.
Oh, yeah, I can't do one for shit. And so Rocket Russell, he actually put this request in that he wanted to talk to the Drunken Monkey. And by the way, you guys have never met.
Never met.
Never met, ever,
No,
right?
I wasn't even going to come in. Special request. And I thought,
It was.
Why not? Yeah.
So, because the Rocket Russell bails me up, he goes, I want to talk to the Drunken Monkey about English TV shows. And I'm like, why? And so you've got, your background is what? Your parents?
Mum and dad are Poms.
Are they?
Yeah. Dad was born in Manchester. Mum was born in Nottingham. Mum came over when she was 20. Dad was about
Which
13.
you would know now because you've been to Derby.
I've been to Derby
and
County,
Nottingham
yeah.
are literally, 25 kilometres from each other.
Right, yeah. I didn't know this. See,
Yeah.
and we've known each other for what, over 10 years? We were just saying before.
So I grew up on Only Fools and Horses, Steptoe and Son, all the
Benny
young
Hill.
ones, Benny Hill, Are You Being Served?
I can't believe it. It's a bombshell.
And I'll even throw one in there, EastEnders.
Oh,
Up
yeah.
until Dirty Dan died.
I was Coronation Street.
I will say Coronation Street was another staple as well.
I remember Dirty Dennis, man.
Dirty Dan.
Because I used to watch. I
Dan,
used to watch the EastEnders, and Dennis was out. His wife was Angie.
Yeah,
Was it Angie?
That's right, Angie.
And
he
he
was
kept-
actually married to Brian May of Queen.
Angie was.
Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. I think her name was
Really?
I think her name was Anita Dobson. And she was actually married
Okay.
to Brian May for a while from Queen. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I used to watch that. I don't know why. Because that was like really trashy but edgy, and there was Dirty Dennis who was having affairs with everybody,
Yep. Drove a Rover SD2.
and he ran the pub, the Queen Vic.
Yes.
Yep.
That's right. I remember that shit.
That's
there-
where he got all his accents from.
That's right. He right.
Yeah, the fruit guy. Was it Arthur, the fruit guy?
Yeah, but he had a mental breakdown. Remember, he had a mental breakdown at one
It
point.
was young
Arthur.
Ian Beale, who became an
Ian Beale?
absolute tosser. Yeah.
And there was Dot. Wasn't she the resident
The resident.
nosy body? She knew everything.
She was the Esme Watson of Australia.
Oh, yeah, she was the Esme Watson because that was in a country practice.
Oh, okay.
That would have been before you came to Australia.
Yeah.
Thank
Drunken Monkey, because
You're lucky.
you're lucky, man, because that was awful. And I will say this, Australia at that time in the 80s and the 90s couldn't make a decent drama show.
I will argue that.
All right. What is it?
Kingswood Country. Oh, it's not drama, is it?
No, and that was in the 70s, dude.
Was that 70?
Yeah. I think it was. I think it was very late 70s, early 80s. Kingswood Country. That was. I'll tell you now. That would not get released today. That was offensive, right? It was so bad.
Have you ever seen Kingswood?
No.
Oh Jesus. Yeah.
Growing up in England, of course, and listen, we used to think Aussies were quite stupid. And now let me explain before I say why I said that. You get bank robbers, right? So they've done all the job and everything. They robbed the bank. They've got away.
Ring a ding ding, baby.
Oh yeah, because it's connected. Sorry, you're gonna hear
That's
that.
all right. And then the cops can't find them. They get found by a kangaroo going.
Hey, don't pick on Skippy. He was fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, Skippy.
No, the kangaroo was smarter than the bloody bad guys. It was like the kangaroo would find them. The cops couldn't find them. I'm thinking, how dumb are Aussies that it takes a kangaroo to find these guys?
What was that, Skip? What'd you say, Skip?
Yeah. Are you serious?
That was huge.
Yeah, we used to have a program called
Skippy was massive.
Boney, which is an indigenous person. You might not remember that. And that was just about it. And then till the invasion of Home and Away.
Oh, God.
And then
The downward slide of Australian TV.
Oh, and then
it was bad.
It was Aussie everywhere. And of course, then
Neighbours
Kylie,
was the big thing, wasn't it, for the UK?
Neighbours, yeah.
Which
was the one with Kylie Minogue.
That was Neighbours.
That was Neighbours.
Then Neighbours was the big one.
Yeah,
Then Home
and Jason
and Away.
Donovan and Kylie Minogue, they were like the sweethearts for some reason. I think they were at one point.
Yeah, they were going out.
They were a
at one
couple,
stage.
yeah. And then Kylie got into a
Michael Hutchins mode.
Hutchins, yeah. But yeah, Neighbours would have been the biggest export we had
Absolutely.
for TV shows.
Oh, yeah. It was huge.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Neighbours and Fosters.
Yeah, again. I remember travelling and everyone would be like, oh, do you drink Foster's? Like, no. No one drinks Foster's
I was
here.
saying the Drunken Monkey before, my cousin's just been here and she, we're going to go to a pub. Let's go to a pub. And I was like, yep, cool. Walked into the pub and she's like, where's the Foster's?
Yeah.
Why is there no Foster's on tap? I said, we don't actually drink that piss. We send it over to you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you drink?
Yeah.
I was in the UK a couple of years ago and my brother-in-law took me to a pub and there was these two guys there. And I hadn't seen them for a while and I introduced them, etc. And I started laughing at them. What are you laughing at, guys? I've just arrived and I found the two guys in the world that drink Foster's. It's you two Muppets. They're actually there with Foster's. And they go, don't you drink it in Australia?
No, we don't.
I said, you can't even buy it.
No.
Where would you get a Foster's? I don't even know who would sell
if
it.
you're lucky, you might get it in BWS, but you'd have to look hard.
Dude, I don't think you'd. If you
I reckon
yeah.
you could get Guinness easier than you could get
Yeah,
Foster's.
I don't think there's any market for it. Absolutely,
No.
that's piss.
No.
Yeah.
It's weird. And it's actually, so it's the bottom of the vat of Crown Vic or Crown Lager, isn't it? It actually comes out of the same vat as Crown
Is it?
Lager. It's the bottom part of the vat and the Crown Lager is the top
Yeah,
part
it's
of the vat.
shit beer, man.
Oh, it's crap.
It's
So's-
awful.
So's Crown Lager.
Yeah. So's VB.
Yeah, well.
So,
We've come a long way. Yeah, but when you've, let's go back 20 years, the ultimate, if you were having a posh do, would have been a Crown Lager.
actually,
got Crown.
yeah, Crown was big.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't have as many craft beers as we do now.
Oh, fucking craft
Nowhere
beers
near.
are fucking out of hand at the moment.
Yeah, you can't keep up with it. Although, unless you're Irish Dean, he seems to know.
No, I'm into my craft beer. I have a beer app, as you know, and I log all my beers.
What's your favourite?
Stone and Wood.
Stone and Wood,
Stone,
yeah.
oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Up in Byron Bay, it's brewed. It's passion fruit and lovely for a summer's day.
Yeah,
He's
you
nodding,
see-
going, no, he's going,
beers-
baby, mate.
No, he's not, no.
No, I like craft beers.
Oh, good.
My favourite beer is called Wizard Smith.
I'm not familiar with that.
See,
Is that a local brew?
No, it's a Tasmanian brew, and it is almost impossible to get on the mainland.
Oh, okay.
It was meant to come here, but it just didn't take off.
Would you know Moo Brew then?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's Tasmania, and I like that.
That's
and
really nice.
I found a place recently in Leichhardt that was selling it for $6 a schooner. Now, that's $115 a case, that beer. So I couldn't believe how cheap that was.
That's
Insane. I'm off to Taz in a few weeks and I'm going to have a Moo Brew. So I'll get that beer off you and I'll
Wizard
try
Smith.
it. Wizard Smith,
it's
absolutely.
a Bogue, so there's a general thing, but it is.
What about that non-alcoholic beer? That's pretty.
It's getting better.
Getting better, man.
Yeah.
Well, the one you gave
Heineken
me.
one, is it?
No, well, I had a Heineken last night,
Yeah.
but I had the non-alcoholic
The Carlton.
Carlton.
Yeah.
That's probably the closest I've had as a beer that was non-alcoholic and tasted like a beer.
Yeah.
But I've had some shit. It tasted not. What's the point
Well,
at that point?
Budweiser do one called Prohibition. No wonder there was prohibition with that beer. It was awful.
Was it?
Well, Budweiser on its own is just nasty.
Yeah, and imagine it with no alcohol. I had one when I was in Brighton, and I didn't even finish it. It was awful.
The one I really liked was Caffrey's, but it's
Yes.
really hard to find now.
Yeah.
It was really popular, and now what's the other one that was very similar to it has taken over? It was Caffrey's, and I can't remember it now. Nah, gone. Lost
Gone.
it. Gone.
Gone. TV shows.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Off topic.
Off topic.
Off topic.
So
So
what
did
was-
you watch any of the things I told you to watch during the week?
What did you tell me to watch?
I told you to watch the Batman and Robin episode of Only Fools and Horses.
No, because I don't have access to it.
The Christmas trilogy, that one.
See,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Absolute
See,
classic.
okay, so Drunken Monkey's the guy that got me into Only Fools and Horses because I don't remember it being here.
It was never aired.
No.
Channel 7 bought the rights to it, but never aired it.
So I'll tell you my background for English TV shows, and then you guys can run free with it, right? Because it's pretty limited. So I was kind of lucky because Mum was like into the English TV shows more than any. Because Dad was SBS. Fuck.
Like
Boobies at 9 o'clock, man. Channel O, man. Turn it to Channel O, and
Go-
there's
go to
boobies.
bed.
Go to bed. That's how it was. But I used to watch. There was like Yes Prime Minister and Yes Minister, obviously. To the Man of Born, the young ones. He loved the young ones. The old man, he loved that.
And Bottom.
Yeah,
Bottom was a great one.
And I don't remember that. And
Filthy Rich and Cat Flap.
no, see, this is news to me. But the one that I really loved was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I love that. That was one of my favourites. And obviously some Doctor Who's thrown in. But I was like the Tom Baker years.
Yeah.
After that, you lost me, really.
No.
But that's me, because I didn't watch it as much.
See, I started with Pertwee, then went to Baker, and
Yep.
then Sylvester.
Yeah,
No, see, Sylvester had a special place in my heart because of
Sylvester
Ace.
McCoy, yeah.
I loved Ace. She
Yeah.
was so cool.
So what were the TV shows you were watching, Rocket Russell?
So we've got Only Fools and Horses.
Yep.
Young Ones.
Yeah,
Bottom,
young ones. Yep.
Steptoe and Son.
Oh, yeah. Out.
Open All Hours was the other
Open All
one
Hours.
I used to watch with,
Yeah.
what was his name? Jason
Well, little Del Boy.
Del
Boy.
Del Boy, yeah.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
Open
Ronnie
All Hours.
Baker.
Ronnie Baker,
And then you
yeah.
had the two
The two
Ronnies.
Ronnies.
Yeah, the two Ronnies.
Yep, the two Ronnies was the one I used to watch as well.
Yeah, they're all classics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then you got your
Blackadder?
Oh, yeah, Blackadder, of course.
Oh, Blackadder.
But later on in life for me,
Yeah.
Blackadder.
Yeah.
Not as a kid.
I've recently just redone it, and I just watched a doco about the making of it. And what's his name? Rick Mail. Have you ever seen the doco where they're talking about Rick Mail? So he apparently, when they did the rehearsals for that scene, he played it.
The Flash Art one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he,
I love Flash Art. Let's do it.
so apparently during rehearsals, right, he played that to a T. Had just played it, and everyone was like, "Yep, that's it. That's brilliant." Then they've gone to shoot it, and he has gone 20 levels above. And you can actually watch it. If you watch the episode, you can see Rowan Atkinson is almost pissing himself laughing because that's not what they were expecting. They were expecting him to do what he'd done in rehearsals, but he went, "No, let's jack it up." And he's come in and done the whole.
Is that on the specials? Of
Yes.
I've got that, so I'll actually watch it.
It is worth the watch. They're talking about that scene, and when you watch the scene again, you can see everyone they're struggling to hold it in as he's just going mental. It was brilliant.
What else did you? You had something on your mind when you wanted to talk about
Only
Drunken
Fools and
Monkey.
Horses, dude. That is possibly one of my favorite TV shows of all time.
Now, let's start right at the beginning. So we're going right back to the 80s when that started. For me, I don't know what you're personally, it gets into it third episode when they go to the nightclub. Do you what do you prefer, AstroTurf or grass? I've never smoked AstroTurf. And the further key, because the first one was a bit slow, second one was funny, but the third one, I'm in tears.
And that's where they the bar door opened up and Del Boy goes to lean over.
Oh, that's some far later on. No, that's far later on. That's when they go on a date, when he meets
yeah, that's-
Cassandra, remember?
Yes.
And he's in the trendy bar of yuppies, and he goes, "Do you want any food?" Beaujolais Nouveau, yes,
Yes,
84, which is wine that has to be drunk within 12 months of it being
Right.
released. So many, the Chandelier. I mean, Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin.
You could,
Stitch in Time.
yeah.
It's one of the final episodes, and it's just Really, because so the whole premise of the show is they're struggling street traders,
Yep.
and the last show is them. They've got the father-in-law there, isn't it? Who's an antiques guy, and they're cleaning out the
it was
garage.
supposed to be the last one. You're right, but then
then they
remember
did
they came back, and then they went to France, and then they did the game
And they're talking
show,
about
and
doing
then
another
Uncle
one.
Albert left the money. Yeah,
Yeah, they're talking about doing another one now. But the whole pretense of the entire series is basically they're struggling street traders who buy and sell
And they used to have Christmas specials every year, didn't they?
absolutely.
Well, that was a big thing with English shows. Full stop. Everyone did a Christmas special, didn't they? It was huge.
So I remember going around to your place, Drunken Monkey, a couple of times, and you're like, I got the Christmas special, and I'm like watching it, and it looked like it was recent release, but you said, no, this is like, I don't know, the 80s or the 90s. I'm like, really?
Yep.
This looks awesome, even for now. Like, and the comedy hasn't aged, I don't think.
It still holds up.
No. I just thought of one myself that I used to like. I don't know if you guys ever watched it. Did you ever watch Men Behaving Badly?
That was one of my. I was going to bring that up later on. Oh, I love that.
I love that show, yeah.
And it's just that is so bad. But then when you're in that, you've got what was you live with the two chicks, long hair, Robin.
Oh, that was the one I used to tell you about, Drunken Monkey. There was the two guys.
No,
There was a
two-
guy and the two girls living in a house, and one was called Chrissy.
Yep, and he was Robin.
And then they went off to George and Mildred because
Yes,
George and
George and
Mildred,
Mildred,
Yeah. That's right. They were the neighbours.
Oh, shit, I completely forgot about George and
yeah,
Mildred. How
because
could you forget about
they
George
were the
and Mildred?
landlords. Yes,
Yeah, they were the landlords, yeah.
What was that called?
Because they had their own
Man
show.
About Town? No.
Man About the House.
Man About the House.
That's correct. Yeah,
Yeah, he was a real sleaze too, the guy that he was always cracking on to Chrissy's girlfriends or something, wasn't he?
Yes.
And they went off, didn't they, to the Liverbirds, or they were from? Or was that a different show? I wasn't a big fan, but I love Man About the House, and I love George and Mildred.
George and Mildred was
George
a
and Mildred,
classic. George was
fantastic, yeah.
fucking hilarious.
And
And then you got the bouquets. That's another
Oh
one.
yeah,
It's very similar to that.
the buckets,
The buckets.
The Buckets.
But that's bouquet.
Wasn't there one where he was on a bus?
There was on the buses.
On the
On
buses.
the buses.
Yeah.
The main actor is called Reg Varney,
Oh, really?
but spelt differently.
Oh, it's different.
Yeah, totally
Okay.
different to my daughter, but yeah, because my daughter's name is Varney.
Oh, okay.
So
Shout out to Varney.
Hi, Varney.
Rate, comment, and
You're
subscribe
not named
like the
after
young
Reg
people.
Varney. Yeah, on the buses. But as I say,
Carry
Young
Ons.
Ones changed everything. There was everything before and then everything after. And everything after then became very more piss-taking, lot less sexual innuendo. Because before that, you know that.
Well, you look at Are You Being Served?
Oh,
How much sexual innuendo can one show
That's
have?
bad.
And that used to run at 5 o'clock in the afternoon in Australia.
Yeah.
That was on in the it was afternoon
Yeah.
TV.
And was that during the Benny Hill era as well?
Oh, gee, yeah. You
Benny
run
Hill
around,
was
all my
bad.
clothes fell off. It
Yeah,
was
and he had that
bad.
like pervy face on as well,
Yeah.
like Benny Hill. Yeah.
So that's what I said we should have opened this podcast with.
And very popular in America, apparently. Benny Hill was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Michael Jackson was a big fan of his.
What?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was classic. It was just very slapsticky sort of
Yeah.
comedy, It was
Which was very British at the time. It was all about, like the carry-on was the same. It was all, as your father and all that sort of sexual innuendo and
it was so
funny
much of it.
limericks and
It's
things like that.
Like
Yeah.
watching, I caught a episode of Are You Being Served recently,
Mm.
and I remember watching it as a kid and sitting there now going, "Wow, I missed so much."
You didn't get it, man. I remember watching that too, being a little kid, and whenever, what was her name? Was it Miss Peacock going something about a pussy?
Yes.
I didn't get it. Like, I was only about
she'd be
7 or 8
standing there
years old,
stroking a pussy.
and I'd be watching that with Mum and Dad, by the way,
yeah.
and Dad would be giggling, right? And Mum would be like, she'd put that face on that she
Yeah.
wasn't really
What was the gay
happy
guy
with
in
it.
that?
What?
That was
gay guy.
Mr. Peacock, wasn't it?
No,
No,
He
Mr.
was
Peacock
he
was
was
the
the
dead
boss.
serious one. He was
the
the boss.
boss.
Right.
Oh, what was his name? Yes.
He was.
I know the actor. I know the face. This is the Alzheimer's setting in again, but
I think Rocket Russell's
Rocket
going
Russell's
to
going to
Google.
look it all
He's
up.
going to Google it.
Yeah. But it was, the store was called, was it Grace Brothers?
It was
Yeah,
Grace
so
Brothers.
Grace, yeah,
we
yeah.
used to have a Grace
Yeah,
Brothers
exactly,
here.
yeah.
It was before
Maya,
Maya. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Grace Brothers. So I remember thinking, okay, cool, Grace Brothers. And then you had these wacky characters.
The
and-
actor was John Inman, by the way, but I don't remember the character's name.
Mr. Humphrey.
Mr.
Oh,
Humphries,
Mr.
that's
Humphries.
it. Google doesn't understand Mr. Humphries either.
I don't even know what my fucking phone is.
That was mine.
that was
that
his
was
Google
mine.
Home.
It was my Google Home. Yeah.
Mr. Humphreys, that's right. And then there was Mr. Cuthbert.
Yes.
He
I think it was the army bloke, wasn't
yeah,
it?
he was hilarious.
That wouldn't be released today.
No.
So think about all the shows.
Any of these shows we're talking about,
No.
you could not
No.
release today.
And the segue there is that one of the assistants went on to EastEnders, didn't she? The blonde one.
yes,
Yeah. She
Oh,
went
was
on.
that what was her name?
Wendy Richards, wasn't
Yes.
it?
Wendy,
that's
yeah,
correct,
Wendy.
yeah.
She was young in that, and then she
Yeah.
went to be, what was her name? Paulina. Was
Pauline.
Paulina in EastEnders?
Pauline, wasn't it?
Pauline.
Pauline.
She was
yeah.
married to the fruit dude.
Yes.
Yes,
Ah,
that was.
God, this is
what
so
was it?
bad.
Yeah, this
Ian
is
Beale?
sad. Yeah, but what was his name? Arthur. Arthur in EastEnders.
I can't remember his name.
I think it was Arthur.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you're not going to find that on Google without you being specific.
no, so I'm sure it was Arthur and Pauline were like the two normal people in EastEnders, and you had Dirty
And they had the
Dennis.
son with the red hair, wasn't it? He was a bit of a turkey.
Oh yeah, what was his name?
Ian. No, that was Ian, wasn't it?
That
Ian was the
Ian
son.
Beale. Yeah. Look, I just
Oh,
I
Ian Beale was
barely
the dumb.
watched
He
it,
was
yeah.
the dummy, and there was the chick that used to. What was she? She used to have a sewing machine. She used to make clothes. What was her name? Oh God! There was Kath that ran the cafe. There was a cafe. There was
You
a
gotta have a
store.
cafe.
They had stores, didn't they? Because I lived in the marketplace. On the East End. And they'd open up their stores and they'd all bitch about everything, and it was always dreary, right? It was always
It was
cold
a
and dreary.
miserable- yeah.
It was a miserable show. Like,
Well, the two shows were, and as you say, your father's from Manchester, so Coronation Street is Manchester. Did you come on the tour with me?
yeah, I was there with you.
We did
yeah.
the Coronation Street
Yeah, we
tour,
did.
didn't
we
we,
did.
in
And I didn't know.
Manchester?
I had no idea what the fuck was going on in that tour. Like,
Yeah,
'cause
so
I'd
we
never
went to the
watched it.
Rover's Return, went on the cobbled streets, and he was.
I
don't
know my
understand
mum,
what-
when she was last in England, did the same thing. She went on the tour.
Yeah, absolutely. But they've moved it now because the original one's gone, and they've moved to a new studio. But they've done a new studio tour. So yeah, you went on that, and that was lighter. It was always a bit more light, where EastEnders was very
It was
dark.
dark. And everyone was having an affair. There was never any happiness in it. And then Angie, so Dirty Dennis and Angie were my favourite because they were the Richies in the like the East End, because they had the pub, the Queen Vic. And Dirty
And
Dennis.
the Rover. Don't forget the Rover, mate. Remember
Oh, the Rover, yeah,
Rover was
yeah.
always very in,
Yeah. And then my memory of it, because I started watching it. This is my dirty little secret, right? Because it used to be on the ABC here, wasn't it? And I reckon it was about 6 o'clock at night.
No, see, we used to get it via videotape. So my grandparents lived in Nottingham, so they'd record stuff. So once a month, we'd get a videotape with all sorts of English stuff on it. So you'd have EastEnders, Coronation Street, Only Fools and Horses, and whatever else it aired that Mum liked at the time.
I remember it being on the ABC, EastEnders. See, the ABC back in the 80s played a lot.
Oh.
Way more than they do now. They played so many English TV shows.
It was
That's how I-
English TV, basically.
Pretty
'cause
much,
you had the
yeah.
bill.
Yeah,
I mean, we haven't even spoken about the bill. That's another.
See, I don't know anything about
and
this.
that ran for years and
That's,
years and years.
Well, what's his name? Was just Reg. Is it Reg?
With the dark black hair, the
Yeah.
busybody.
So he was on there for 23 years. I was reading an article the other day. It was like 23 years he was on the
God.
bill.
There's one of the guys who's in the bill. He actually lives in Australia now. He's on a lot of Australian TV. I bumped into him in Parramatta. He lives in Sydney. You can tell because you bump into him a lot, and he does a lot of work here. But the bill had so many offshoots of famous faces. If you watch the original shows, absolutely brilliant. But going back to comedy, I don't think we can talk about British comedy and talk about Carry On, etc. without going back to some of the founders. I don't know if you know them. Do you know Tommy Cooper?
I've heard the name.
Magic Craig, shout out to Magic
Shout
Craig.
out to Magic Craig.
Would know Tommy Cooper. This was a guy who would do magic and it would go wrong on purpose and you'd just be in tears. And Morecambe and Wise.
Morecambe and Wise, I know.
The absolute Eric Morecambe could just look at you and you'd start laughing. Absolutely brilliant. And they were more those sketches. You know, you'd have a half an hour and then, of course, the sitcoms came. And then it all changed. It sort of got a little bit... after the young ones, you had all the piss take, the Blackadders and all the rest of it. And then you started to get into the mockumentaries, to The Office.
The Office.
Started that.
So that's like
Do you know
the
Phoenix
2000s?
Nights
No.
and Max and Paddy? It was never over here. And that's Peter Kay.
Okay, I know Peter Kay, yes.
Peter Kay is a
He's
very
classic.
funny guy. Absolute funny guy. And then In Betweeners, which is modern.
Oh, I like the in-betweeners.
That's very
Yeah.
funny.
I like the movies they did too.
Yeah. And back to the smut, really. They've gone full circle because they're back to the smut.
But
with
yeah,
the
you're right.
In-Betweeners.
Young ones, after the young ones come, it all did change, didn't it? I've never actually put that together.
See, a lot of people say, why are English people such piss takers? It's because we grew up in that era. Blackadder really was just piss taking.
Yeah.
You know, all the Ben Elton stuff was just taking the piss out of everything and not taking anything serious. And a lot of Poms get accused of that. Why don't we take it serious? Because everything really is funny. There's a funny side to everything.
I remember when I first met you, there was a couple of times, not with me, but with people that I knew in our little circle of friends. You'd say something to them, and I go, "Oh, I don't think he liked that." And you go, "Well, sod him. That's just the way it is. Like we take the piss, and if you can't deal with it, he can fuck off." Basically, is what you said. Remember that a couple of times. Like shout out to Pedro. I think he got offended by something, and you're like, "Well, sod him. If he can't deal with that little minor bullshit infraction that I gave him, he can piss off, right?" And it kind of is the English way. Well, it used to be.
You've been there.
Yeah.
Well, it still is to some extent. You're in a pub with people, and they're kind of testing you. Are you what we call a marred arse? Your mum would know that coming from the middle. Don't be some Mardy. Don't be a Mardy bum.
Mardy
It's
bum,
Arctic
yeah.
Monkey. Yeah, don't be Mardy. I guess you just, you test people and say, well, you can take the piss and you can take it back. Look at last night.
Yeah, that was bad. Irish Dean was going. We played poker last night, and actually, Nervous Nathan, he came second, didn't he?
Yes, he did, yeah.
He got into the final, and then the Drunken Monkey beat Nervous Nathan. But Nervous Nathan was hanging in there, and but that was funny because you know how he's been on the keto diet or whatever it is?
He's off keto now, isn't he?
You can
he's
tell
on
it, mate.
everything.
Mate, he's on everything. He had about 3 bowls of chips in 5 minutes. Mate, he was like a druggie straight out of rehab, back on the smack.
But isn't he?
Mate, bad.
Isn't he having sober November or something?
Oh no, he wasn't.
He's not doing coffee and all that kind of shit.
I think he's back. Did he have coffee last
No,
night?
he's off caffeine, but he had sugar, popcorn, chips, dinner, chocolate Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah.
Chocolate Yorkshire pudding.
I mean, oh yeah, there you go. There's British. Because last night I tried for the first. I thought I'd give it a go. Don't ask me what compelled me to do it, but I made a chocolate Yorkshire pudding with a cherry jus and some ice cream for dessert.
Oh, it's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And then I said to him, "Is that like a thing now? Because I know Yorkshire pudding. He's made Drunken Monkey's maybe proper Yorkshire pudding before." But I said to him, not being funny, but is that like a little new thing that people are starting to do, taking Yorkshire pudding and making it like a chocolate dessert? And he goes, "No, I've never seen it." I don't know what compelled me to do it.
It sounds interesting because it is a dessert, really. Yeah. I mean, it's
well,
become
remember,
main
it used
meals.
to be a filler with roast beef.
Yeah.
Because
Every
meat,
Sunday.
Yeah, because meat was obviously scarce during the war, so they'd make Yorkshire puddings. Some kids would have it with jam.
Yep.
But I think I saw chocolate pancakes somewhere. I thought that might go with Yorkshire pudding.
I loved it,
I
man.
supplemented cocoa with some flours with some cocoa and made them up in the oven last
He makes
night.
the best Yorkshire puddings.
Oh, see, I don't know.
Yeah. No.
I am actually a qualified chef.
He's a qualified chef.
Oh,
No,
okay.
No bullshit.
But, my grandma, every Sunday, you had roast beef, Yorkshire puddings and gravy and Brussels sprouts. They were the Sunday go-to.
I love that stuff. I know people that turns in that nose up at Brussels sprouts. I love it.
We made my kids try it recently.
Yeah, kids hate it.
Surprised my son hated it. My daughter was not too bad. She's like, "Oh, yeah, it's okay."
Yeah.
My 2 girls love them.
Yeah.
We have Yorkshire pudding, and I have to make at least 6 each. And then they'll count them. You've had 4, so those 2 are mine. And they'll literally put their name on them and then keep them for later on.
Yeah.
I have to make a bit. And I used to make 2 trays, so that's 24 Yorkshire puddings. Only 4 of us in the house.
You know what I found when I travelled with the Drunken Monkey a couple of years ago through parts of England there, and we ended up at Bakewell. And I'd never had a proper Bakewell tart. Have you had a proper Bakewell tart?
No, I've had knockoffs.
Now, your mum would know from Nottingham a Bakewell, because Bakewell's in Derbyshire, which is very close to Nottingham. So she would know Bakewell
I know
tart.
she knows them because we tried one years and I would have been
Yeah.
down here, and she was disappointed.
No,
Same as
there's 2 sorts though. There's the ones you get like the Mr. Kipling's, which is with the icing on top, but a proper Bakewell doesn't. It's use a frangipani, which is like a almond sponge, jam, and a pastry. There's no icing on top, and you often with custard. But the old style, the recipes in Bakewell are like 600 years old, and these recipes are great.
Yeah.
And you eat those, and man,
That blew me away going to Bakewell. And I remember your friend took us, and he said to me, he sits down next to me, he goes, "Oh, I like coming here. Makes you feel real English. You can feel the English blood flow through your veins. You know what I mean?" And he's like, and then he sits down, and we got like a proper Bakewell tart.
Yep.
And it was not like what you buy at Woolworths, mate. I'm telling you now, they're an insult. Really, they are, aren't they? They're not.
Yeah.
They're not Bakewell tarts, even though I like them. But the proper Bakewell tarts kind of hard to explain. It was like a slice,
Yeah.
almost like a pizza slice.
It's like the difference
Sort
between
of.
Domino's and getting pizza in Italy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
No, it is. No, it is, man. It really is. Like, it was not what because I remember Drunken Monkey's like, well, I'll take you to Bakewell, and do you know what a Bakewell tart is? I said, no, I really don't. And he said, okay, well, I'll buy you the knockoffs at Woolworths. And I thought, these are great. They're bad for you, but full of sugar, but they're great. Cool. And then I get to Bakewell itself, and I got a proper Bakewell tart, and it was completely the opposite of what I'd had. But
It's like
awesome.
a good pork pie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had those too when we
Yeah,
were
we
there.
had pork pie. You can get them here, but
They're
they're
not
not quite
good.
the same.
And they don't have the egg in the middle.
No, that's a Scotch egg.
Oh, is that Scotch egg?
Scotch egg. Pork pie is just the pork meat, and you get the brine around the centre and the pastry. And that's fantastic. Here, they're a bit
they're
soggy.
okay.
Have you ever had the 99? Do you know what 99 is?
No.
I do.
Tell him, Dan.
I know what a 99 is. So a night.
Is that two gay guys?
No. Pull me up if I'm wrong, Drunken Monkey. 99 is what we would call a soft serve ice cream, but it's got drizzled over the top of it raspberry syrup, and sprinkled on top is some chocolate, but it's got a flake up the top, like a Cadbury flake.
Yep.
It's called a 99.
It's the flake that makes it the 99 and the sauce.
And the sauce, yeah. Oh, man, I got obsessed with 99. It's like everywhere we went, literally, we'd leave the house in London there, walk 5 meters. Jesus, a bit hot. I could go on 99. This would be like 9 o'clock in the morning, right? Some wacky stuff. Oh, so good. We don't have anything like that here. We really don't.
We're Dodge. Really.
Man.
Wait till you get down to Tassie. You'll
Oh, I've been before.
Oh, the
And
food
man,
there.
Oh, the food is
absolute
awesome.
Soup.
You know what? It's like New Zealand, Tasmania. The food in New Zealand's great too. So good. But Tasmania is in Australia, I think, is the closest you'll get to England of any other state in Australia. I don't think there's any place like in Australia that's like Tasmania, and Tasmania is as close as we get to England, I think. Would you agree?
As you know,
Or you go down to like Barrel or somewhere like that.
I've travelled the world. I've been to many, many countries, and I've said this to many people, and I'll stick by it. I've never met friendlier people than Tasmanians. I think they are God's own people.
They're the best.
I lived down there for
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah, you were
lived down for a year.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can't do enough for you.
they tell the best Tasmanian jokes you'll ever fucking hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll take the piss out of themselves.
You know what it is? I'll tell you. Okay, so I was over in New Zealand maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago. New Zealand and Tasmania share one thing in common. It's like being back in the 80s. It's what we used to have in Sydney.
Where shops close at 1 o'clock on a Saturday and
what
aren't open on the Sunday.
You don't realise what we've lost until you go there, right? You go down like you could be in Hobart or Launceston, or I could be in Wellington in New Zealand. And you know what? Everyone's cool. Everyone's chilled out. If you cut in front of someone in the traffic, they don't go ballistic. Like I was here the other week at the set of lights up here on the street, and literally someone decided just to turn right at the last minute, so their bum was sticking out of the right turn bay. And young love pulls up and she's going off her brain, right, ready to club some bloke, right, covered in tattoos. I went, yep, I'm in Sydney. But you know what I mean? Like, but they're more chilled out down there in Tasmania. They're more chilled out in Wellington. It's what we used to be. I'm telling you now. We used to be like that in Sydney.
You stop in the street there with a map and you look at it.
Yep.
Someone knows you need. They'll go, do you need some help?
Yeah, we don't do that here.
Absolutely superb.
No, I think I've told Dan the story. So a mate of mine was down there, was it last year or year before? Him and 5 mates on motorbikes doing a motorbike tour of Tassie. They were sitting up in Stanley, up the north.
Yeah, I know.
So they had a plan of going to, is it Queenstown, down that way on the west coast, and then back up to the boat for the next day. So they're sitting in this cafe. They've got a map out. Cop walks up to them. Oh, how are you, boys? What are you doing? He said, oh, we're just plotting course. You know, oh, where are you heading? He's like, oh, we're going to head here. He said, oh, no, you don't want to do that road. That's no fun. They're your Ducatis out the front, aren't they? Like, yeah. So you want to do this road here. Now get to this house here. Tell this person I sent you. And then tomorrow you want to do this road here. He said, but I patrol this road here between these hours and this road here between these hours. All right, you know, you got those hours cleared, didn't you, boys? And it's like,
I'm going down there in January for a wedding. I can't wait.
oh,
Because I last time I was in Tasmania was back in 1988. And so like a family holiday as a kid. And unfortunately, when I went there, they had their worst drought in over 100 years. It was like really brown. It wasn't like the green rolling hills you hear about. But I remember back then thinking, this is an unreal place. It felt like you're in a completely different country. You were not, obviously you're not in the mainland anymore, but you were not in Australia as far as I was concerned. It's awesome. It's everything we used to have.
As I said, if they paid more money down there, I'd still be down there.
Yeah.
That's the problem. There's work. It's just not well paid.
No.
We were there 3 years ago, New Year's Eve, right? And this is really summed it up. We had some friends there, and we were looking at some penguins.
Fairy penguins.
No, real penguins.
Yeah.
Well, when we said, we'll take you to them. Anyway, they get talking to this guy, and I said, okay, they're having a chat. And then I get back in the vehicle, and they come over and said, oh, they've invited us in for cake.
Yeah.
You know, here you think serial killer, what's going on? And my alarm's going off, blah, blah, blah. There was the four of us plus four, it's 8 of us. They've invited us in for cake. I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be religion or something.
Yeah.
It was genuine as we walk into this guest house. They had friends from South Africa. I think the 2 from America, and they get together all the time. They had lemon meringue.
Oh.
They had all this, and they gave us tea, and we went, this is unreal. This is, all my alarm bells are going off.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to relax and thought, actually, no, they're genuine people. And that's why I say I fell in love with Tasmanians. I think everyone I've ever met has been fantastic.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And I see as a fan.
Our first holiday down there, we went to Richmond, and we didn't have an itinerary. We'd stayed in Sheffield, which some of the pork pies in Sheffield, yeah, they're pretty good. And we driven down to Richmond. It's like last minute, it's like, oh, we'll just stay here the night. So we grabbed the local paper and went, oh, yep, okay, let's ring these people. They said, oh, yep, no problems. You can have the house and the stables out the back, which we've converted because I think it was 7 of us. She goes, oh, the house won't fit that many people. It's ready now. It's clean, but can you give me an hour or two? I was like, yeah, okay, cool. We'll have a walk around Richmond. Gets down there about 2 hours later. Lainey has a feed put out for us.
Wow.
Because we've been traveling.
Yeah.
Salt of the earth.
But you know what? We're making it out like Sydney is this really bad city.
It's a shithole.
I think it's overrated, but I think if you compare us to other cities in the world, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. But I do think Sydney's overrated. I was only there 2 or 3 weeks ago. I went to the ballet in the opera house, right?
Haven't
I changed? I liked
Did you have
it.
Twinings?
No, it was a good night. I liked the ballet actually. I'll be upfront about it. I'm not going to piss on it. No way. I like it.
Each to their own.
Yeah, but you know what? I was there in downtown George Street, and I started ranting. Like fuck, like they've ripped up George Street to accommodate a tram that no one is going to use apart from tourists. They've ruined it. You know what I mean? And I go back to my point. If I was from the US or the UK or somewhere like halfway around the world and I've travelled to Sydney, I reckon I'd be disappointed. I'd stand there and go, so now what? You know what I mean? Like it's apart from the harbour where the opera house is and a nice sunny day, it is really great. But other than that, I don't know. I'm scratching for things to think of.
And this is the best thing we like about British comedy shows.
But now we're ranting.
Now we've got off topic. But back to that tram thing, just a quick one. So I was working in the city. I've been working in the city the last year and a half, watching them build this tram line. So they did tests just before I left. So about a month and a half ago.
I know what you're going to say.
So they did tests. So they're driving the tram down the street.
Yep.
And people are just walking in front of it.
Someone got run over.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, they did. No, they did.
When it came back up, there were 8 traffic controllers on each point of the train clearing the way so people get out of the way.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, that happened when I was there a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday night. So Saturday night in the city's busy, especially around the rocks, right? And this tram just silently sneaks up on you, right? And there's no clear indication of what the hell they're doing. And I heard in the previous week or so before that, someone had been run over. And that's what's going to happen because people aren't used to trams in Sydney.
Or they're on their bloody mobile phone.
Or they're on their mobile phone or their head.
That was the
down
most annoying part of walking around the city is everyone's buried in their fucking mobile phones with their headphones on. It's
Yeah, but
Get out of my fucking way.
That's not just here, but man.
Yeah, I know.
That's everywhere, dude. That's
Probably,
everywhere.
probably
It's the current.
streaming British comedies.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
they
okay,
are.
so let's segue back.
Segue back to British comedies.
What was Rodney out of Only Fools and Horses?
Yes.
Rodders or
Yeah.
what was it? What did Trigger call him? Dave.
Dave.
You've seen that, haven't you?
I'm really bad with Only Fools and Horses, dude. I defer
You'll have to
this
go
guy.
through and watch it all again because you.
I have to, yeah.
Trigger is probably one of my favorite characters out of that. He is just so dumb. Is that the word? Or isn't that's not really dumb, is it? He's just not. He's off with the fairies.
Yeah.
Like he gets an award from the mayor. Remember, he gets an award for his broom. He's had the same broom for 20 years.
Oh,
And
yes, I
it's-
have seen this.
And he gets a medal from the thing for, and he's like, well, do you not use it? And he's like, no, I've had 18 new heads and 12 new sticks. But it's the same broom.
That's so dumb.
He's talking about famous people, and he goes, you know how people, you see them, then suddenly they disappear, like Gandhi. He only did one movie, and you never saw him again.
But his running joke was he'd call Rodney Dave.
Yeah.
And it was pointed out to him a few times. My name's not Dave, it's Rodney. Yeah, it was just so. But what? He did a spin-off show. Well, not a spin-off. He did another one where he'd go back in time. He'd walk around a corner. It was a comedy show. So he was married in this life, and then he'd go back in time to World War II.
yeah.
And he was.
Yes.
He pretended to be a spy. So if he walked down this certain alley, he walked out the other end of the alley. It was middle of World War II. That was. Did you ever see that one? I can't remember what it was called.
I did, and I don't remember what it was called. But then there was a spin-off of Only Fools and Horses, which was Green Grass.
And it didn't really
No.
go. It didn't
and
take
then there was
off.
a young one, as in their
new
younger
one,
days.
That was stupid.
And there is now a play or musical.
See, that would
in
be
London.
too. That'd be okay. But that young one, I saw the young
Yeah.
one. That wasn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't good. But yeah,
What was that, a sequel to The Young Ones?
no. It was.
no.
It was like a prequel to Only Fools and Horses sort of thing.
Wasn't there a sequel to The Young Ones?
There
Wasn't
was
there something with The Young Ones? They did something.
No,
it was
they
only...
didn't, no.
that was,
it was
bottom,
only-
really, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
It was
bottom.
Bottom would
Bottom. But
Bottom
it-
was the spin-off.
That was
well, sort
with
of.
Rick and...
Rick and Vivian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They were the
Adrian
only two.
Edmondson,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yes.
right. I remember them doing something after The Young Ones.
Oh, and I'd never realised the fifth young one.
Aye.
I went back during the week and had a bit of a squiz. I was
Spot
like,
him?
fuck, he's right. Look, there it is.
I always thought that was Neil's mate. The real stoned out hippie that used to appear when they had parties and stuff. You remember they used to have parties and there'd be like a chair somewhere, a couch, and there'd be like he had like the John Lennon glasses, the ground glasses, and he'd be sitting on a chair. And I thought that's got to be what you're on about because I thought that's the fifth young one because he used to appear quite a bit, but it wasn't.
No.
So there's more stuff. Like I love the Young Ones. My favorite Young Ones episode was when it started raining, and it was just so cheap. The jokes are so cheap. I think Rick goes, "Is it raining? What's it raining like out there, Vivian?" And Vivian would stick his head out, and he'd go, "Oh, it's spitting," and he's covered in spit. And then later on, Rick goes, What's it raining like now, Vivian? He'd put his head out again. He'd hold out like a glass of beer or whatever. He goes, "Oh, it's pissing down," and there's piss in the glass. That's so stupid.
I like the bomb.
Oh, yeah.
The bomb was a classic. You had Rick trying to threaten the world powers that he had a bomb. You had Vivian trying to chainsaw it to pieces.
But the good thing, like I said, when we talked about this last time, the British know when to stop. Now, you could say, yes, we'd like a third, but they know when to stop.
Like
and that's why
Faulty
we love
Towers.
them, Faulty Towers.
Yeah, Faulty
That's-
Towers.
I mean, people don't realise, as you said, on the only there's 12 episodes of Faulty Towers.
that blew my mind when I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's
I did not know
and
it was only
apparently
12.
they threw like massive amounts of money to Cleese to do another season. He was like, "Why? We can't top what we've done.
Yeah.
It's perfect."
But they've learned from, and that's the mistake we make today. We keep churning out the same old shit no one asked for. Charlie's Angels, Terminator. No, but no one asked for this crap. The British said, no, that's enough. Let's move on to something else. And that's why they become classics.
Yep.
All right? You don't flog it to death. The American Office, I loved the American Office up to about 7. And then it was time to leave it
How many
alone.
seasons they do?
9.
That's way too much. And what the English did too, didn't they?
2 and a Christmas special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all they need.
Yeah.
You know, Blackadder 3 series. Mr. Bean's only like 12 episodes, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not many
There's
at
not
all.
many.
That blows my mind too. It seems like it's way more than that.
That's it. And it's only 12 episodes because they were just, that's all he needed.
I think Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy was only 2 seasons. There was not very many episodes in that either.
Now, the reason the Blackadder worked because it was different eras.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
So it wasn't really like a continuation.
And how clever was it when he said, when it was kind of insinuated that it was his like descendant?
Yeah.
So passed down through the family, so he'd reappear in a different time. But
So
it was
that nearly didn't get season 2.
Really?
No,
I didn't know
They
that.
had to. So remember, if you remember the first season,
Yeah.
it was all around the wrong way. Baldrick was the smart one.
yep.
Blackadder was the,
The dumb one.
Yes. Yeah.
That didn't go down well with the public. So Ben Elton had to flip it because they almost didn't get a second season. They went, nah, look, it's not really gelling. He said, let me try something. Let me make Atkinson the smart one and
The
dumb
second
down
was
Baldrick.
King George, was that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then Elizabeth was the third. The fourth one's my favourite.
Fourth is the
That's the
Warhawk
World
suit.
War One
Yeah.
one.
One.
Yes,
One.
Yes,
Yeah.
darling. Yes.
Yes, darling. Mildred.
That was the best running joke, I reckon,
Yeah.
darling.
And Baldrick was really obscenely gross.
Yes.
In that season. I liked season 2.
So when he balanced the slug on his nose, it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
I have a cunning plan.
I have a cunning plan.
Everything was a cunning plan.
Yeah. But I like this season 2 when he became what was he? Not the Prince Regent. He was he worked with Queenie. Because I like Queenie.
Queenie, she was
Yeah,
mental as a
Yeah,
cuddle.
yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
You know? Because the first one, I actually didn't like the first season of
So
Blackadder.
that's why it didn't take off.
No, because he
that's
was-
why it almost didn't get a second
No, because
season.
what did he call himself? The Black Turnip. He was like, I will call myself the Black Turnip. And Baldrick was like, I actually think Blackadder would be more fitting, sir. Or some bullshit like that.
So, yeah, as I said, Baldrick was the smart
Yeah.
one in season 1. I mean, turnips was Baldrick's running joke after
Yes.
that, wasn't it? Everything was a turnip or
Yeah.
I have a cunning plan.
Yeah, that's right. I have a cunning plan. So what's the difference, in your opinion, between, this is a question I got for both you guys, the difference between UK produced comedy shows and American comedy shows? Because I'm going to point out one difference I can think of
See,
straight
the
up.
problem I've got is so the English do a series and the Americans go, oh, that's really good. We'll redo it American. And they just, generally, they fuck it. They, like Shameless. Shameless is the only one I can think of where they haven't actually fucked it. The English one's really good.
Yeah.
But the American one, Frank, what's his name?
He's William H. Macy
William
plays
H.
Frank.
Macy.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It
That's
is
the only
good.
one I can think of.
Yeah.
Like, there
Well,
was-
it's starting. I'll tell you now, the wheels are wobbling on that because season 10's just started, and Emily Rossum, I think, who
She wants
played,
out.
she is out.
she's gone.
She's gone. She left at the end of season 9. She played
the main character.
what was her name? That's going to do my head in. She played Fiona,
Fiona.
who was
Liv.
the main character, who also was in the UK version of the show. But see, I've spoken to people that we know, Drunken Monkey, that reckon that the UK version of Shameless is way better because Frank's way more outrageous in what he does because he's more of a drug taker in the UK version of it than Frank in the US version, who does do drugs, but he's more of an alcoholic in this version.
Whatever he can get his hands
Oh,
on.
he's pretty bad. William H. Macy is awesome in that show.
That's what
He's
makes
so
that show.
good.
He
Yeah,
plays the part.
Yep.
You know, that where he had the liver replacement.
Yeah,
and he
that-
could only have one shot of alcohol a
Yes,
day. That was
right.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's the wheels are wobbling because I feel they're on the season 10, and I must admit, with Fiona leaving, it's a bit dragging on. It's dragging on a bit too much.
To me, that shows like the EastEnders of comedy. It's depressing.
It's pretty dirty, yeah.
The British want it, and because
Yeah.
it's about that life and that, you know, and it's some people might find
In
it
Australia, we
glamorous.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some people have probably lived it.
Absolutely.
In reality, I think, you know, like
100%.
Yeah, like
Australia makes a version. It's called Struggle Street, SBS.
no, we made a show called Housos. Do you ever see Housos? But like the fat pizza people.
Yes, they've just come back. Fat Pizza's back.
Oh, really? Oh, well, actually, I know someone that worked on it. No bullshit. She was an actress on it. Yeah, she was. She played a Vietnamese person on the show. No bullshit. I know the actress. Yeah.
Do you know the IT crowd?
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
That's awesome. You've not really gone into that. either.
started watching it, but again, see, the problem that I've got is that
I'm retired and I've got no
I'm
time
retired.
on my
I've got
hands.
well, fuck. I do this bullshit podcast, man. And last night I'm very tired because I played poker last night, way past my bedtime. I know, and I got up and did yoga yesterday morning, so I've been very, very busy this weekend. It's got to stop. I'm supposed to be fucking retired. This is what I'm doing. This bullshit.
The IT crowd, that is brilliant.
Yeah.
I can never decide which one's my favourite CEO, but Renham or his son.
Yeah.
Because his son is just out there. But Renham was quiet. He was a different out there. You know, the picture on the wall of him sitting there holding the picture of him. And it's just some of the stuff they do is brilliant. You got to get into the IT crowd.
I think I've got your DVDs, Drunken Monkey.
Netflix. Netflix.
Oh, is it on Netflix?
It's on
The
Netflix
whole
now, yeah.
Oh, see, that's what makes it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the old days, it used to be you didn't have Netflix or anything like that. So you didn't, because I watched my English TV shows back in the day on the ABC.
See, I watched
The
one on a
ABC was
dodgy
awesome.
old VHS.
Yeah, no, the ABC in the 80s was awesome. It was so good because that's all it did was play English. Like, what?
that?
I thought of a show. I'm trying to remember the name. What was that tall English lady who was a comedian? She was in like The Man of Born and all
Oh,
that.
Penelope Keith.
Okay, so she was
The Good
in
Life.
The Good Life.
Yeah,
And
The Good
Felicity
Life.
Kendall, wasn't it? Oh,
And which got parodied in The Young Ones. Goody two shoes, Felicity bloody Kendall. I'd like to, yes. Oh, yeah, because Vivian puts wants to do his washing. And the washing machine says, I'm not washing that.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh,
Spits
look
it out,
at
doesn't
this,
it?
Felicity Kendall's underwear. And the machine says, and then they
dumb.
shove it in, close it,
and hold it there.
and
That's
put
right.
a coin in. Take that, you bastards.
That show was so good.
Oh, it was just out there.
So I did watch To Man of Born as well, but I don't know if that's really a comedy though, to be
No,
honest.
The Good Life was, but
The Good Life was,
quite-
yeah.
was very and
And
Felicity
the
Kendall.
antithesis of that was The Young Ones, which is why, because it was your middle-aged white suburban couple with the neighbours, and it was all, sort of nice little
Was that
safe
the one?
jokes.
Maybe I've got this wrong. The Good Life, was that the hippie wife? She wanted everything natural and all that
They
stuff.
went off the
and
grid.
They went
Yeah,
off the grid, and
yeah.
he was a bit of a city slicker, and he was struggling with it. That was the premise of the show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching that as well.
And I think even in The Young Ones, isn't there a little skit where the vicar and the dog, and which
yes.
is based on that type of sitcom, which was very safe.
Yeah.
That was in the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Compared to everything else that was out around it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and especially you look back at the carry-ons.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah,
What was
Carry
his
On.
name?
was-
Sid. What was his name? He was in everything.
Sid
James.
Sid James.
And
He was.
of course, another sort of link to EastEnders, Barbara Windsor, who used to run the pub. Yeah,
Who was that?
There's-
Not
she-
Angie.
No, the blonde-haired one who took over after Angie.
Oh, see, after Angie died, that was it for me because I was like, no.
Yeah.
Once Dirty Den was gone,
Dirty Den,
I
'cause-
was like, yeah, I check out.
Well, he came back. Do you know he
that's
came
why.
back?
That's
as a-
why I left because they left it. That,
Yeah.
You know, did he fall into the river?
Yeah.
Was it a river?
It was a river he was pushed into. Wasn't he murdered or something? Someone had enough of Dirty Dennis and they pushed him in the river.
back onto EastEnders.
Oh, look,
the
I-
EastEnders show.
I actually didn't mind EastEnders. As a kid, I was like, oh, this is cool. Because, like, it was-
Isn't that it?
yeah, that's it.
But Carry On was all about the smut and the innuendo. Because it was Carry On up the Khyber Pass. Yeah, up the Khyber Pass. The worst one actually was Carry On Camping, because at the beginning, because I remember this, my dad went out drinking and they'd left, and I think he forgot his keys, and he came back and Carry On Camping was on, and there was some nude scenes, and a bit like your dad, he goes, what's this you're watching? Switch it over. She had to turn it over, and then once it went that, is Dad gone? Yeah, switch it back.
Yep.
And then all the nude scene had gone. But
And
Bob,
there was on the buses as well, wasn't there?
on the buses, was it Carry On the buses, was
Was
there?
it Carry On the buses?
There's
Well,
definitely an On the Buses
there was
movie,
On the
which
Buses.
was Reg Varney
Yeah.
again.
But wasn't that was the guy that was on, we talked about it, with Chrissy, the two girls.
No, that was
Man
no,
About
it
the House.
wasn't
No,
him. No, it wasn't
I thought
him.
he was a bus conductor. That was his job, wasn't it? I think that was his job.
Was it?
I think it
Probably.
was. Yeah.
Really?
I think that was his job. I could be wrong. I could be totally
But
wrong.
then they're not interlinked.
Okay,
on
because
the
I
bus,
thought
yeah.
he was a bus conductor because that was the thing. The double double-decker buses.
You watched on the buses?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll get you, Butler. I'll get you. I'll get you, Butler. Oh, brilliant. And you remember all this. There was catchphrases and little jingles, and you remember them all. And then there was links like George and Mildred, which would come from that.
George and Mildred.
Yeah.
George and Mildred were classic.
And they were a classic, typical couple of the time. You know, they really were just like any other couple.
He had a sidecar, didn't he? A motorbike with a sidecar.
Yeah.
That's right.
And he used to put Mildred in the side of it. I'm sure he did.
Well, let's get a bit controversial then. We're going to talk British comedy. Let's really go there.
Okay, let's go
All right.
there. Yep.
Love Thy Neighbour.
We've
got to talk about
Sid,
it.
wasn't it? Was that
No,
Sid?
that was totally different. Now, for those who don't know, and look, people actually, there's a real debate
That
in
was
the
the-
UK.
Sorry, I don't want to sound right. That was with the black guy, wasn't
That
it?
was absolutely
Oh,
right.
I remember
remember
that.
now.
Yeah.
Good day, Nignog. And oh, gee, I mean, but now they say, watch it. Let's see. This is people go on about, well, everyone's whinging about racism. Go and watch those shows and see how people really were.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, well, you know what? I go back to Australian TV back then, right? So the comparison's Kingswood Country, right? Now, Kingswood Country was awful, but people go on about racism. Let me tell you, I remember watching that show, and the boyfriend, because it was
a wog.
He was a wog, right? So his name was Spiro. He was Greek, and that was the girl that was the boyfriend of the daughter of Ted Bullpit. That was the main character, and she brings him home, and he goes, "What are you doing, Wog?" And forever and ever and ever after that, he was just known as Wog, right? And if there was a car that was not a Kingswood, it was a foreign car, it was a Wog car or something like that. That would not fly today.
And then you
right?
had Neville, the Aboriginal statue in the front yard.
Oh, that's right. There was an Aboriginal statue at the front.
Named Neville.
Unbelievable.
Right, unbelievable. Look, you know what? But people just, but like you just laughed it
See,
off.
people
Like,
had-
no one got
People had
offended
thicker
by it.
skin back then.
They did, man, for
Yeah,
sure.
Like I was saying the other day, I was in Toys R Us. There's now a millennial edition of Monopoly. What's that? Everyone gets a prize at the end? There's
Yeah,
no
they do.
winner?
They get a gold star. They get a gold star just for fucking playing it. What's a millennial edition? They need a fucking iPhone to play it because without it, they're useless.
Let me guess. You go halfway around the board. You don't go to jail. You see probation officer, do community service.
That's right. It's gonna be some bullshit, man.
Community chest.
I want to know what millennial fucking Monopoly
No,
is.
but me and my missus saw it, and it was like, so what? You're in participation awards?
I'm gonna tell you now. I bet you they download an app on a phone. I'll put money on it, and then it'll be you get a gold star for turning up. Right? You don't get $200 for passing go. You get $200 for just playing the fucking thing because everyone's a winner. Oh, and no one loses, by the way.
That's what I mean. Everyone
Right.
gets a participation
No, yeah,
award.
You've won second prize in the beauty contest, but you are beautiful.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
should have won.
That's right. It's a beauty because actually it'd be a beauty contest, but it wouldn't be gender specific.
Yeah.
So you could be gender fluid and enter this fucking beauty contest bullshit. Oh mate, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole
No,
because
please not, because that's just a
I
massive
just
rant.
can't anymore because I just give up. Like fucking done. You know, like they're in so much trouble. They're in so much trouble. They don't
But
even
the problem
know.
is, these are the people who are going to be running this country when we're old. Well,
No, not
when,
me,
when
mate.
we're retired, not like some people.
No,
who are
I'm
already
retired already.
yeah.
No, not my fucking problem. You know what I mean? Like, but see, I'm going to say you reap what you sow. You created it. You allowed people to get what they want when they want it, and they were never told no. Whereas when I was a kid, you never got shit, right? You'd ask your old man for something. He goes, no. In my day, everything was in my day, right? And I remember the old man, he'd tell stories like, why don't you go out and play? Why don't you get off your Atari 2600, go out and play. And you're like, oh, there's nothing out there. He goes, in my day, we used to go to Marrickville, and then we'd walk across to the airport, and we'd find a place that we could lay down near the airport. We'd break in, and then we'd watch the jets take off, and we'd get pushed off by the jet propulsion, and we'd land in some fucking waterway, and we'd swim across Botany Bay. All sorts of bullshit the old man would go on with, right? And you'd be like, okay, he had a point, you know. But slowly every generation's got less and less outdoorsy.
Oh, mate, when I first came here as a backpacker, we climbed the Harbour Bridge. We actually had a few beers for Dutch courage, and we climbed up over the Oh, man, I'm hanging off the bloody Harbour Bridge and there's 200-metre drop to get over onto the ladders. And we went and sat up on the top of the Harbour Bridge for 2 hours.
That would have been pretty cool, though.
I don't know how many times I've walked across the top of the Story Bridge in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Because that was on the way home, because the night both lived in just over the other side of the bridge. So you'd walk home from the nightclub, pissed as, and we walk across the top. Yeah, no problems. Now,
well, they do tours now for that.
Well, yeah, but all those things are gone. Used to be rite of passage. Yeah, you could do all those things. Let's be honest, if you wanted to, you could streak on a football pitch. I'm saying you should do it now.
Oh, you know what?
But all that stuff's gone.
You could ride in the back of a ute.
Yes.
Yeah, you could. But you know what? Like the cricket, without fail, every one-day match, there'd be a streaker.
Yeah.
And everyone would be like, ugh. Now it's like, they don't even show it now. They used to show it on TV. Now it's like they cut away from, they go, someone silly's on the pitch. They don't even, it's so sanitized.
Oh, there's
man.
non-alcoholic sections. You
can't
can't
even
have
have the cup snake anymore.
Yes.
You know, you used to put all the cups together.
Yes.
You had a big snake and
Yeah.
can't do that
The funny
anymore.
thing was in the winter, just gone, the AFL, they were like clamping down on what they called hooligans in the crowd. And they were basically people going, fuck off, Carlton. That was a penalty, you fuck. That was it. And they had more police patrolling the crowds because they're like worried about people being hooligans. Mate, come on. I remember being in the AFL, like going to an AFL game maybe 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was. And this was in Melbourne, right? And it wasn't the Swans playing. It was just a random team. I just wanted to go to the MCG and watch an AFL game because everyone should. And I just remember old lady, I'm not kidding you, for whatever reason, I was near these two old ladies and they swore more than I do on a podcast. I'm not kidding. It was ridiculous, right? And they were like, and I can remember turning to them once. I go, what's your problem with Carlton or whoever it was? I don't forget. They cost us the grand final in 1965. They can go get fucked, a lot of them. Fuck you, Carlton, right? I remember, and they were old ladies. I'm like, holy shit, right? But as soon as you walked out of the MCG, they were as nice as pie, right? But now they want to sanitize that bullshit too. You watch, they really do, right? They'll sanitize it.
I remember going to a rugby league match in Brizzy, and it was before they rebuilt Lang Park. Oh, some of the abuse that was hurled at people was just amazing. But we were in a corporate box, and we were drinking.
Yeah.
Quite merrily, and security stuck his head in the door and went, lights are out in 15, guys. If you can depart now. And we're like, there's still beer in the fridge. We'll keep going. About an hour later, we've gone to get out of it, and we can't even get out of it. We had to climb out over the roof and down over onto the RSL and then out that way.
Yeah.
You couldn't even do that nowadays.
Nanny state.
And going back to the UK or England, what's it like in the Premier League now in terms of crowd control? Because remember in the 80s and the 90s, it was pretty bad, right? It's probably, that was over the top. That was not what you wanted. But now, what's it like there now?
Look, there's some restrictions. Look, you're not allowed to be, you don't mix. Like we went to the Sydney Derby in the A-League recently, and you get red shirts next to blue, and I actually like that. I think that's
it's good.
great.
Yep.
You're not allowed. If I wore a Liverpool shirt in any ground and I was with the other people, that I'd be out straight away. You're not allowed to do that. You can't buy tickets. You can only buy it in the section that you're supposed to sit in, and that is it. You're escorted from the train, but they've got themselves to blame because the violence was, was
got
bad.
really out of
You're telling me stories like back in the 80s and that if you walked into a pub that was, say it was Everton, because they're all near Liverpool, London, and you walked in with a different type of kit, you would literally either
You'd be
get
stabbed.
The best bet, you'd be kicked out of the pub. That was your best bet. Otherwise, you'd probably be stabbed or you'd be beaten or something like that.
Well, the only reason you
Liverpool
get kicked
kiss.
out is because the barman didn't want to clean up your blood, Mate, out, because I don't want to be cleaning your mess up.
But yeah, that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
That was your best bet.
Yeah.
That was your best hope, was that you'd get your ass kicked out of the pub. But now...
Well, you still wouldn't do it. There's not many. You said Everton, actually. Some Everton and Liverpool, because the families might have 2 and 2 or one, so they would probably mix, but there's not much like that.
I just pulled Everton out of my ass.
Yeah. But London areas now, if you're Millwall, West Ham, those sort of
That's
fans.
what I was trying to get, because I'm not good with the
Derby,
geography.
Nottingham, there's, as you say, your mum's from Nottingham, I was born in Derby, so there's a real rivalry there. Yet a connection with Brian Clough, who was the manager. So there's a big connection, and of course, you wouldn't walk into a Nottingham pub with a Derby County t-shirt on.
You've seen the movie, what was it, Hill
Green
Street
Green
Hooligans?
Street Hooligans, yeah.
Yeah, you've seen that movie. Is that reasonably
Oh, yeah.
accurate?
Oh, yeah.
It is.
It was just, didn't want to watch football. It was just about getting a punch on, notoriety, and there'd be full-time hooligans. And a lot of them were educated. Don't get me wrong. It's not these people on the rock and roll. Sorry, dole. It's people who are lawyers and chefs who can't act like that in normal society. Just offloading at the weekend.
And they used to plan. On that movie, they plan.
You plan where
You
you're going to
plan where you're going to meet. Have you ever seen that movie, Rocket
No.
Russell? Oh, fuck. Elijah Wood's in it. And he plays a guy that comes from America and he goes to England. I can't remember. Oh,
Is that because he can't do an accent?
No. His sister, it could be. But this story is his sister's getting married. Her sister's moved to London and she's met a Londoner and they're getting married. So he's gone across to, I think, to the wedding or no, the baby's born. Something, there's a reason. I can't remember what the reason is. But he goes back to London to visit his sister. But in the meantime, his brother-in-law is a ex what do you call it, brawler, and he gets him into football big time. And initially it's like getting him into football, so he watches it. He takes him to a game. He gets to like it because I've never been to a Premier League game, but I would imagine it's awesome. Even if you didn't like football, it'd be awesome, right? So he gets him into a game, and then he gets him into what's the name of the club? There's a club. He becomes into
Was it West Ham or Millwall? I don't remember.
No, it was West Ham, and the rival club was Millwall.
Yeah.
Remember the guy from Millwall was a real piece of work, and he gets him into like this club, like underground club, to get involved into like the thuggery of it, and he gets a taste of it and he likes it, and that's the story of it. Green Street Hooligans, I think, is the name of the movie.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, really good movie if you're into that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if it's even based on a true story, but it was like pretty realistic.
It's based on a book, but a lot of people they get a taste for that, and because they can't act like that in society, somehow sport gives them that permission to act like a thug.
Look, I go to my kids' soccer, and some of the people there, you can tell they're not,
It's more the parents, isn't it?
Oh, the parents. Some of them are just like, are you serious, mate? These people, it's under 10s. Fucking calm down.
Yeah. That's
absolutely.
the parents, man, living vicariously through their kids.
Oh, mate, it's
So what other TV shows have you got that you had something you were telling me, Drunken Monkey? You wanted to pull something out. You said, I've got a TV show, something you told me before we started recording this bullshit, I think. Or have we said it already?
No, probably no.
No?
I don't remember. Probably
gone.
said it.
It's gone.
Probably said it.
What else?
So what else have you been watching?
Yeah.
Or what did you watch growing up?
You know what I have just finished recently is the new version of Open All Hours.
Oh, okay.
Have you watched that? Stands Up.
Okay, because I'm a bit nervous because the original is brilliant.
But it pays homage to
Yes.
Ronnie.
Ronnie?
And it does that. And what's her name? The matron.
Oh,
She's still in it.
Yeah.
They've done it really well.
Streamed or is it on mainstream TV?
I illegally. did
oh,
it.
okay.
what was the matron? That was the girlfriend for Ronnie, wasn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
He was always trying
She
to
had
get-
a soft spot for him anyway.
Yeah.
at
Yeah, but
least.
he was always trying, and she just
That's
kept turning
right.
him down the entire
And you used to go,
time.
don't get nervous around me, love. That's right, hey. That's how it used to be.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
the magic till, the till
Yeah.
that you. But they've done it really well, and he's taken a real Ronnie Baker sort of approach to it. He's still him, but everything's sell this, does a special display, just try to rip people off.
Yeah.
It's
Because that's another show too, The Two Ronnies.
two Ronnies.
The Two Ronnies was
Yeah.
a show. I remember watching that on the ABC as well.
Some of their skits were just amazing, like the hardware skit. Which one of them? They've just done a remake of it, the Blackberry skit.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's if you watched any of those.
No, see, my days of watching the UK pure stuff was on the ABC. So we're talking like early 80s, like 80s is when I watched it.
My YouTube is just filled with it.
What UK TV shows?
UK TVs if it's a UK TV or forward driving, it's probably on my YouTube channel.
We're saying that you like me, I tend to watch most of the classics and the old stuff. A lot of the new stuff.
What, even
It
UK?
doesn't catch. Yeah, a lot of the new UK comedy just doesn't.
It's not the same anymore.
No.
Why?
It's-
Sanitized?
Possibly. Just doesn't connect. I don't know. Maybe I just like, that sort of.
Because the original UK stuff Like we're talking 80s and
Oh,
That
even
era.
before that.
it bef-
60s, 70s,
Yeah, yeah.
80s was the prime.
all that's pretty edgy stuff. Like they were pushing the boundaries even back then, even though the boundaries were much wider than they are now.
Flying Circus, Monty Python.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the Monty Python movies were awesome though.
I'm talking the Flying Circus, which was the TV
Which is
show,
TV
which,
show.
which was all their
But you
skits.
see, that was really high end. That was to be educated people. Because
yes.
it was university type of humor. What
yes,
you know?
very
Yes,
much
yes. So at school, we'd have talent things at school, and so some kid would be up on there on the stage going, I don't know, what do you know? And you think that's not funny. It was their delivery. It was you did that audience for it, and it worked really well. Then the movies, of course, started to flip it slightly. Monty Python is a very acquired taste. The Flying Circus is.
Flying Circus.
yeah,
is
I think,
brilliant.
yeah.
Like the fish slapping dance. And
Yes.
the
It's so stupid.
or John Cleese's the Ministry of Funny Walks. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
That gets me every
That's
time.
a great one. But I'm not kidding you when I tell you, I've told this before, but my GP, I'm not kidding you, at one point in his younger days, he really did look like John Cleese, right? And he would do the John Cleese walk because he's from England originally, my GP, and he would literally do the funny walk. And I go, mate, what the hell? Immediately my doctor thought he was awesome.
I used to have a mate. You
a
could
kid.
tell how drunk he was by his John Cleese impersonation of the walk. The drunker he was, the better it was. We'd be walking down the main street in Brisbane. He's doing the full. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
He often got asked whether that was based on Stormtroopers, didn't he? And he said, no, I just made...
I
did the
thought it
goose stepping."
was.
No, and he
Yeah.
often said, no, it wasn't.
Okay.
I mean, obviously there's some variants of that, but no, he said, no, not really. It just wanted to do this great walk.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And then the argument. The room where you pay to go in and do things. And
Oh,
he goes into
yeah,
the room
yeah.
and goes, oh, I'm here for an argument. No, you're not. This is the wrong room. But no, this is the room they told me to come to. No, I don't know what you're on about.
See, okay, I'm going to come at it from the layman, right? I'm going to go back to the question I asked a while ago. The difference between UK humour and American humour. I'm going to get beaten up badly by any people living from the UK
You know
or
what?
America.
It's actually not that hard. UK humour is very, as we said, piss take.
Yeah.
American humour is observation humour.
Yeah.
You look at Jerry Seinfeld, you look at
Yeah.
all those kind of guys, it's very observant.
I always thought it was more obvious humour. It was more like, see, as a Australian, I would look at English humour and American humour, and I'd pick the difference without the accent straight away because English humour was always very subtle, and it wasn't always obvious. Whereas American humour, like The Simpsons, I'm going to use that as an example. It's pretty obvious most of the time, I think. Do you know what I mean? Like,
But in the heyday, it used to be clever. Observation.
that's what I mean,
humor.
clever, clever.
And
It was always
in its
clever.
peak years, it was so bang on. Yeah,
yes, you know what I'm trying to say. Like it was little subtle one-liners under the rug, and you have to really be listening to pick up on it.
But
You
see,
know
the
what I
other
mean?
thing, the other thing with UK humor is it's aiming at everybody. Americans are very targeted, whereas you watch like A Being Served. So you could sit there with your dad, and you'd both be laughing at different jokes
Yes,
because they were aiming
Yes.
at both targets.
Yes.
We didn't understand the jokes my dad was laughing at, but I liked the jokes I was laughing
You know what-
at.
you know
And now
what-
you go back and watch, you think, aha.
But for me, I think where the Americans do copy British humor is in animation.
yes,
South Park, all those sort of shows, even Ren and Stimpy.
yeah. Love
but
Ren
all
and
those,
Stimpy.
but you remember those shows? That was British humor.
Yeah.
But they don't do it in sitcoms. They don't do it. I don't know whether they don't want to offend or it's mainstream watching those ones. But in the cartoons, boy, do they push the
So Ren and
boundaries.
Stimpy's like Benny Hill because it was very slapstick in a lot of ways.
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
They were.
Sorry, I'm talking about animations. Fuck you.
What have I done now?
What was that fucking show you made? You were talking about?
Big Mouth.
I'm 2 episodes in. Oh my fucking god! Sorry,
Why? What's wrong with it? It's awesome.
it's awesome, but wow, so
oh yeah,
wrong.
yeah. It's wrong.
Yes.
Oh, it's
Yes.
wrong. Absolutely. I'm
And
not
you're
gonna,
saying it gets worse.
Yeah,
I'm
there's-
sitting there at episode
There's
1
a couple
and 2
of
thinking,
times.
"Phew."
There's a couple of times I've been watching it and I've been watching it with the Cookie Queen, and I'm like, shout out to her, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to be watching this with you. Like, this is not cool at all,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You don't want to be watching it with somebody else. You're like, it's But see, that humor, that's interesting, that show, because it's obvious and it's also not obvious. Because sometimes there's like little one-liners that you can easily miss, but the actual animation makes it look so obvious as to what they're doing, right? Especially that bit about the, what was he, the Jewish guy, the Jewish penis, and he goes, whoa, 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 what did you say? And he just goes, and he pulls down, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's like, so at one point you're like, okay, I don't really get it, but I do get it. Then they make it so obvious with what they're getting at. That show is really wrong.
It is really wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry, it just reminded me.
21st century young ones, though.
Oh,
Yeah, it is, man. You've watched it, have you? Have you watched Big Mouth? Yeah.
And it's right on that
Oh, yeah.
edge. Absolutely.
Edgy as.
It's dancing backwards and forwards.
But you know what blows me away with Big Mouth? I know I've said this before. That's a Netflix-produced show. So, you know what I mean? It's like, at first I'm like, how did this get on Netflix? Then I've gone, shit, Netflix actually bankrolled this thing. That's impressive in itself. Kudos to them for putting something edgy on their network. That'll never be on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus will never get it.
Nah.
You watch Frozen, recommended for you.
Yeah.
Big Mouth.
It's Big Mouth. What else have we got to say about UK TV, UK humour, UK
I think but
stuff?
I don't know. So what's your go-to show then? If you're going to sit down, you got nothing to do for an hour.
I know what he's going to say.
Oh, go on. What do you think I'm going to say?
Only Fools and Horses.
Oh, they would it would be that, and I do, and I'd say I watch it just about every year. I'll put it on, and a bit like you, I'd probably pick because I've got all the seasons, all the specials, everything.
Yep.
But every now and then I go, right, I'm in the mood for Hollenbach, or I'm in the mood for Jolly Boys Outing.
About to say Jolly Boys
Jolly
Outing.
Boys
That's a
Outing,
brilliant one.
and you just sit there and you watch it, and it makes you feel good. So that would be my go-to UK show. Yeah,
I do the same thing. I'll go to it because I've got a special place in my hard
yeah.
drive where it's all sitting there, and I just jump in. I'll just grab randomly. But I do find myself going back to the Tick in Time quite a bit because I think that's actually a really great episode. And there's just so many little jokes that, I've watched it God knows how many times. And every time I'll pick something up that I missed last time, and which I find with a lot of English shows is, you can watch it a few times and then you'll watch it again. You're like, oh, fuck, how did I completely miss that? Or
that's what the Young Ones was like.
Oh, the young ones. If you look in the scenery behind them, shit going on in the
so
scenery.
that's the thing. You know how you were saying that it's for everybody's going to pick up different things in the Young Ones. I remember as a kid watching that with Mum and Dad. Right, Mum would just sit there all quiet, but you know what she'd say? She wouldn't get the lines or the humor very well, but she'd go, "Oh, that set's really interesting, and all that set's really gross, or it needs a clean." You know what my mum's like? She goes, "Oh, that's disgusting. Look at that filth. Look at yuck, right?" But then Dad'd be pissing himself over something Vivian or Neil's done or whatever, and that's what it was like. At so many different levels, and how clever was that set? That set looked disgusting, right? You know,
what's the one where they were digging in the backyard? What were they trying to find?
Oh yeah, there was a Is
that Summer? Summer is a bomber.
Summer, yes, Summer is a bomber. That's
you
right.
didn't know the episode.
And they spend it the summer outside.
Orange peel. That one, but I can't remember what they were trying to dig up. I'll have to go watch.
But then they keep digging, and they found. Did they find a skeleton or something? They found something while they kept digging. My favourite Young Ones was when they went on to the quiz show. And they represented themselves as
Scumbag University.
Scumbag University.
Yes.
And they had that little, was it a gerbil or squirrel?
I've got a Porsche.
That's right.
exactly
That's
that
right.
laugh.
Yeah, but then but the little squirrel would be like, "Up, you scumbag." He'd be sitting there with his beer. It was so stupid. And they won, didn't they? Win for it was the questions were like rigged. Didn't they rig the questions so they could win? Scumbag University.
That's a good episode.
That little fucking gerbil, because he came into it later on.
SPG.
That's right.
Because he was
Control
mounted to
group.
the front of the Zephyr, wasn't he, at one
Yeah.
stage there?
Yeah.
That's
Up
how
your
he died,
scumbag.
actually, remember? Because he
went through the window, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Who did?
SPG did.
SPG.
Did
Yeah, Vivian killed him.
Oh, man. So how do you watch this shit now?
I've got fucking Young Ones bottom and on DVD.
Yeah, I've got it on DVD.
On DVD?
Actually, there's a streaming app and it's free, called Daily Motion.
Oh, yeah.
And you should get onto it because that's got Phoenix Nights and Max and Paddy. And if that is in the top 5 best UK shows of all time. And you can ask anyone in the UK. I'm amazed. It was never shown over here. So you need to get onto it because Phoenix Nights, there's some classic lines that you will never, ever forget in
I think I've seen Phoenix Nights. I think you put me onto it.
I think
think
when we
you
first
did.
met, we probably watched a few.
Yeah, but I can't remember it, though. What was the premise of Phoenix Nights?
It's a working man's club up in the north.
Yeah.
And like they do a variety night. There's one where it's PC, but it's because it gets burnt down in the first season, and so Jerry Sinclair's working in a supermarket.
Yep.
And he's like, "Come get your black bin bags." that doesn't matter gender, whether gay or straight or bender, and it's just even my missus is in tears. We just love that, but it has so many classics. Daily Motion, you can stream every episode, and then there was a knockoff of because the doormen were called Max and Paddy, and they do their own. Only one season. There's been talk for years of a second Max and Paddy, and it's one of the most requested shows in the UK.
Max and Paddy's Road to Nowhere.
Yeah, Road to Nowhere, absolutely superb. You will love it. I'm telling you. We've come back one day and actually just discuss those two shows because they're absolutely brilliant.
So Phoenix Nights, was that where they set up that dodgy nightclub? It was a shit nightclub because the other one got burnt down. It was so lame.
Absolutely,
that's the one, isn't it?
Yep.
I have seen it. Yeah,
The Phoenix Club. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
it was so lame.
And they set up a play area and an old porter toilet.
That's right.
Yeah, absolute classic. But like I say, you can stream them on Daily Motion. It's free. There's nothing illegal about it.
No Daily Motion.
Yeah.
So you know what, Rocket Russell? That's a challenge. You need to watch that, then come back and talk to the Drunken Monkey about what you
Phoenix Nights and Max and Paddy. Yep.
That sounds like a plan to me.
Yes.
Because anyone who says has watched UK comedy has not seen those two is almost like got things off their bucket list.
Yeah. No. Now I know about them. Trust me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
They'll be smashed. There's tabs there now.
Look at him. He's got a homework assignment.
Oh yeah, I've got 3 tabs.
You've given him a homework assignment.
It's right next to the A being.
Is there anything you think I should be watching? Is there anything that?
Oh mate, you're giving me tips.
Oh, I told you, mate. You are messing with a Jedi Master here. I'm telling you
that's
now.
why I wanted to come on because listening to him on that podcast, was like, hey,
well, that's how it all started.
There's not many people in Australia who really know only Fools and Horses. You know, it's something. I'll whip out a line occasionally. Somebody will look at me like, "The fuck are you doing?" But if you say, have you tried turning it off and on again? They go, "You're funny. That's on that. That's on."
I have someone I call a 28 carat plonker. I go, "You 28 carat plonker." And they just laugh and they go, "I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's funny." But I'm constantly, "Oh, you plonker." So yes, absolutely.
Because when he kept saying to me, "I'm Del Boy," I didn't know what he meant really. And then he goes, "Well, you need to watch a couple of Fools and Horses."
Shut up, you tart.
Shut up. Oh, because we go to football games together, right? Drunken Monkey and I, and someone would go down on the pitch and he'd go, "Get up, you tart," right? And I go, "Where's that coming from?" He goes, "It's only Fools and Horses." And then he kept saying to me, "You're Del Boy," because I kept going like Cockney accent. Everything was a Cockney accent, so I'm Del Boy.
Try to talk French.
Yeah. It'd still be Cockney.
Marie.
Yeah, you got to watch only Fools and Horses. All of it, not just bits.
Yeah, but isn't it a hit? There's so many, isn't there? Because it's what? How long's it been running for? Or is it done now? Is it finished?
Actual series, there were 7 series. Then each Christmas special in the middle. Then the ones you're talking, the Christmas was a trilogy. It was 3 parts. Then they did 2 more after, 2 specials after, and I guess wrapped it up. They messed up straight after the Christmas one with the Batman and Robin because that one with Uncle Albert in France didn't really go. That was Gary. You know, remember that? yeah.
But that wasn't.
But then they managed
Batman
to
and
finish,
Robin was
they should have left it at that. It was the perfect ending off in the sunset, but the demand was just there for that more. And this is what I'm saying. Sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for. Sometimes just leave it be because you know you then wish for it and then you think, oh, it's tainted it. Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, well, that's the
we-
same as when
yeah.
I watched a thing with John Cleese, and he was how much money they were throwing at him for another Faulty Town. He said that season, he said, is almost perfect.
Yeah.
He says, there's not much in it, that you can do. He said, I didn't want to do a second season because I didn't want to taint what we'd achieved
Yeah.
with the first season.
And that's what the Americans do get wrong a bit.
How much time have we got? We're kind of
We're almost done, man.
We'll leave it at that.
Because
one
I'm getting close. I need to do a piss. We've been running for 1 hour 25.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that, mate. It's a time
There
machine.
it goes. It just disappears.
Yeah,
doesn't
one
it?
question I've always wanted to ask you, Drunken Monkey. Only Fools and Horses. When did it start, and when's it finished, or is it not finished?
It's finished. Finished years ago.
Oh, you're going to have to know on this one now. I'm going to say it started. I'm going to, you can look it up and tell
I'm
me if I'm
looking it
right or
up.
wrong. So I'm going to say it started in 1983. No,
81.
81 was
Not
it?
far out.
And when did it finish? Not the 90s or 2000s?
Final episode. Apparently it was
2000s.
2003.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Was that
a
the
lot.
comedy spectacular one they did?
No, that was just that one where he did the will. Uncle Albert left the money
yeah.
in the will. That was the final.
Which they already had
Yeah.
tons of money by then, didn't they?
No, they'd lost it
Oh,
all.
that's right, they
On
lost
the
it all. They had to-
Argentinian stock exchange.
They moved back to the flat, didn't they?
Yes.
They moved back to
Yeah, they had to move back
okay.
to the flat.
I'm just having a look. It's, 7 seasons. It doesn't say how many episodes.
There's 6 in each one.
So-
Britain have this fascination with
64
6.
episodes.
So six.
No, but with each season, 6.
So 6 episodes per season.
Yeah, that's the standard for Britain. You do 6.
Right.
Whereas
Yeah.
America is anywhere from 12 to 25, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So Star Trek
absolutely.
Next Generation was like 27. I think in a few of the seasons they did, which was too long, too many.
Actually, I tell you, whether you see it's call it comedy or not, Afterlife. The
yeah.
new Ricky Gervais 6,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
I actually really enjoyed that.
I loved
Yes,
it.
so did I.
Now,
I,
see,
I wasn't a Ricky Gervais fan.
I'm
and
not
I
either.
Watched that and I was like,
But it's him, isn't it? It's him.
Yes.
oh,
It's Retro Dan.
so bad, isn't
The
it?
retro- the-
except
yeah.
except that last episode where he
Yeah.
does all good.
yeah, I don't
If we
improve.
look at the first 5,
'Cause-
fucking yeah, that's him.
Because everyone's like, well, you got to watch Afterlife. And when I found out it was Ricky Gervais, and I felt bad because I was like, I might be the only person that's going to say
I was in
I
the same
don't
boat.
really like Ricky Gervais. I've watched the English Office and I never really found him that funny. And I don't like his comedy on like his open mic or his specials that he does. I don't think he's funny. He's clever, but he's not funny, I don't think.
No.
So when you guys were saying, oh, you got to watch Afterlife, it's you, I went, okay. I got to say it's his best work. It's his best acting. It's as funny as he ever is.
They're filming second season.
Yes,
at
they
the
are.
moment.
Are
Yeah,
they? Yeah,
yeah.
but that. See how they. See,
I don't know, 'cause
The
it's gonna
best
be
thing about Afterlife was he was this disgruntled, arrogant, but he had a reason for it.
With Britain,
Right.
there's always more to say for 2 seasons. I reckon he'll finish it because he finished Extras after 2, The Office after 2.
Yeah, but he ended Afterlife as being nice again because he got a girlfriend. Remember? Didn't he get that
the
nurse?
nursing shot, the nursing
Yeah.
home for his dad.
Oh, then yeah. See, so he started to turn it around a bit, and that's as soon as he started to turn it around is when he lost me a bit.
There's an interesting story behind her because she actually lost her husband recently. And
Who the nurse?
Yeah, in real life.
Yeah.
That she's been friends with Ricky for. She was in Extras. She was the one of the actors there.
See, I don't
And-
know because again, same as Dan, Ricky Gervais, I just didn't
I,
like.
Yeah.
I
him.
don't. I
I
just
watched
don't
a few
gel.
things with him. And went,
No.
yeah, you're a dick.
I
Yeah.
thought his show Derek was rubbish, and that was just over the top. And so I went into this with a little bit of intrepidation, but I loved it, and I said to you, get onto it.
I like it. Yeah.
But that the girl who works with her, she lost her husband, and it helped her through it as well. This writing for those two was really from the heart, and he's working with her again, and I think it's yet again to help her
yeah.
and for him as well. It's just a great show, and yet again good on Netflix for tackling that sort of subject.
Yeah.
I love the kid who looked like Hitler.
That's very English humor, though.
Yeah.
because that would not go down in America. So maybe that's the problem now. Maybe
Yeah.
the US, and I'm just pulling it out of my ass, has got too PC.
Yeah.
and they're sanitized comedy a bit.
Yeah.
Because Dave Chappelle's copped a lot of shit over his latest special,
Yeah.
right? And maybe that's the problem. They don't want to
People
take
can't
risks.
Take it serious.
Yeah, yeah.
I heard a story the other day of someone whose grandfather died in Auschwitz. He fell out the God Tower. I thought it was fucking funny.
It is fucking.
No, but you can't say that
No,
sort of
I
shit.
know.
Only on this podcast.
Only on this podcast. Well, I'm not very PC at all. You can all go get fucked, a lot of you ingrates.
Another thing I've been watching heaps of lately. 8 out of 10 cats do countdown.
What show's that?
No, not watching. Yeah,
No.
countdown.
Yeah, I know it from the IT crowd.
Yeah, hang on, but when you say countdown to me, I think of the old Molly Meldrum countdown.
Molly Meldrum. That's twice.
Yo, you told me a story, but don't say it.
No,
You would say it off air.
That's fucking shocking.
That's not good.
You're thinking that
Okay,
one.
So,
Yep.
you know, there's a
Countdown's
funny version of
different
it.
here.
No.
Oh, do you like Jimmy Carr?
Yeah, again, he's that new breed that can take it or leave him.
So, okay, it's called
Yeah.
8 out of 10 cats do countdown.
Yes.
So it's a piss take, not a piss take, but they do countdown in a funny comedian sort of way. So
With micro celebrities on the panels, on 2 panels. Yeah, those ones have become... No? It's good,
Brilliant.
is it? All right,
Fucking
then I will check that one out then.
And
Because it's on UK TV, isn't it?
I'm
I've seen ads for it. Yeah, I've seen ads for it, yeah.
very funny, very funny. And the comedians I get on, Sean Young, I think his name is. He's just a very deadpan sort of comedian, and some other young fella, Richard, I think his name is.
I think Retro Dan's doing the wee dance here. You know, that sort of,
Yeah,
wee-wee
I'm
dance.
busting
Yeah.
for a
Yes.
piss. Have you guys said everything you wanted to say? Like, did
Yes,
you
we
talk
have.
about the bill? Did you talk about?
Well, it's not really comedy, so...
No,
yeah.
it's just a good English show.
It's a good English show. We talked about Bakewell tarts.
Bakewell tarts, I know.
We talked
It's-
about everything.
Yeah, we did. Tasmania, how we got into these segues,
Yeah.
I know.
Oh,
but
it
we
was,
did.
that's what happens when you
Yeah,
come onto
absolutely.
this bullshit podcast. But I am busting for a piss.
That's
Have you
good.
said everything you wanted to say?
Thumbs up. We'll go back
Drunken
and watch
Monkey?
Phoenix Night and come back
Absolutely
again.
fine.
All right.
And you need to watch Only Fools and Horses. So we have to do a season.
Okay, we'll do
episode 2 where Dan's watched a few episodes.
No, hold on a minute.
What?
Now, there's a tradition here.
What's
when
the
you,
tra-
when you go? When you finish with me, we do outros. remember?
yeah, it's wrong
And
with you. I do an
yeah,
outro.
But
yeah.
I think we've got to do Hooky Street, haven't we? What do you reckon?
What's Hooky Street?
It's a song.
What?
You don't know the outro to Only Fools and Horses?
No, I don't. You guys are going to have to do this bullshit.
God.
Yeah, only with you I do outros. I don't do it with anyone else.
We
I
didn't-
just.
we didn't have an ad either.
Oh, we didn't have an ad. No.
No.
Well, you know what we could do with one? I can try it. You ready?
Oh. Chuck it in while we're searching.
I'll chuck
for
it in
words.
while you're searching. If you want to get a decent Bakewell tart, why not go to Woolworths? That's right. We're not sponsored by Woolworths. I wish we were, because then I know we've made it. But if you want a Bakewell tart, a fake one, you can get it at Woolworths. And you want to bring it out for Christmas. Your relatives will love you. They'll think you're straight from Bakewell. But you're not. You just went down the street and got one at Woolworths. And you just stick it in the fridge and pull it out. But they'll think you come straight from Bakewell and they'll think you're wonderful this Christmas. We're not sponsored by Woolworths. We're really not. I wish we were. Bakewell tarts, you can get them at Woolies. Check it out now.
Enjoy it with a eggnog.
That's right. Don't need Jason Relaxation, who, by the way, is not part of this podcast.
I do miss him giving us you're doing good, boys.
Oh, yeah, he just goes, thank you, Retro Dan. You have been informative with your commentary on the UK. Thank you, Rocket Russell, for being part of it, and Drunken Monkey. What are you guys looking up?
They're trying to find the lyrics.
Well, it was okay, but what it was, because they shortened it towards the end, so they started off with the we've got some half price cracked ice, miles and miles of carpet tiles, but then in the end it just went to no income tax, no VAT, no money back, no guarantees, black or white, rich or poor. We'll cut prices at a stroke. And then it went, God bless Hooky Street. Viva Hooky Street. Long live Hooky Street. Say magnifique Hooky Street. Magnifique Hooky Street. And that was it. There's your outro.
Thank you, Rocket Russell, for being part of this bullshit podcast.
Thank you, Dan, for having us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Drunken Monkey, for coming on and talking to us about all things UK, including TV shows. Thank you, Jason Relaxation, for not being part of this podcast. We really do miss you, but we've replaced you with a sock puppet and I can deal with it. Thank you guys for being part of the podcast. Once again, I have to say that you are informative and have been very cool. Thank you, Jason. Relaxation, no go or changing. Thank you for the 2 people that have been listening to this bullshit podcast. Thank you, Dad, for letting us use your garage. I'm sorry I read about TV shows from the UK. I don't know what they are because the only TV shows I wasn't allowed to watch as a kid was on Channel O, SBS, where boobies were coming out every night. It was interesting, and I was kind of annoyed that I had to go to bed whenever they came out. It's something I need to improve on. I still don't know what they are, and I'm 44 fucking years old. And next week, my English TV show viewers will have some more retro and more bullshit. But until then, you can roll it, monkeys.